So thank you, Professor Kannan, for those nice words. Fact is, I'm just a teacher here and deeply interested in scaling up quality education in the country. So the objectives of enhancing the reach and quality have to be understood in the perspective of numbers. There was some discussion of 2 lakhs, 2 million, 3 million, and 2 million, 3 million actually impresses us a lot, these words. They impress us a lot. But I would like you to understand the scale problem that this nation has. In the higher education segment alone, we have 2 crore formal students studying, just 20 million students. And that is one of the lowest numbers as per capita computation. Or gross enrollment ratios are less. If we slog hell of a lot over the next 7 years, we expect to increase these numbers to 30 million. Total number of students or the total number of Indians who are in the age of being students is 370 million. So we should keep these numbers in mind. That is where we have to reach, and we have to reach as fast as possible. Normal methods are not helping us, and therefore we are seeking intervention using ICT. We also need to innovate and develop affordable solutions. You saw some examples, but that is not the end of it. We need to go a long way. Our people don't earn in dollars. Their rupee earnings are also very low for a large sector of population, and we need to cater to that. We are using open source tools, content, etc., primarily for the well-known reason that a larger number of people can contribute meaningfully and enhance the quality, but for an equally important reason that we cannot afford to pay license fees for proprietary content and proprietary software. We just cannot afford. So the cost is also an important element in adopting open source in economies like ours. Lastly, the MOOCs, and all of you would have heard of MOOCs, but I would like to put MOOCs in the perspective of the general educational framework and the efforts that have been going on here. So 3 pillars of education traditionally acknowledged: content, access. So let's look at content. There has been a lot of work on creating content. All content created under National Mission are in open source now. CC, BY, SA license. Anybody can use them. Spoken tutors, Kannan has already spoken about. We have virtual labs. The focus, however, has been strongly on engineering education, with some science topics included, and on school education, which may not be known to you, but there are open educational resources project by NCERT, and vast amount of content have been created there as well. But there is a huge lacuna even in content space for general higher education and for vocational education or vocational training. Dissemination is the second pillar. For the dissemination, the National Knowledge Network has been building connections. Majority of our higher educational institutions have been connected, but as Professor Kannan said, each college gets a 10 Mbps connection, which is peanuts. It just doesn't help. Fortunately, an independent effort in reaching fiber across the country is almost about to pay dividends. Every panchayat, which is 100,000 numbers, is going to be connected. A very wise decision which has been recently taken is that from every panchayat, there will be 2 minimum endpoints identified connected through fiber. One is a school and one is a hospital. Now, this is an important initiative. Internet availability is increasing rapidly, but the cheapest and the largest bandwidth in this country is still a Rajdhani Express carrying full set of DVDs across the country. There is no substitute for it. And that is why local area networks with local file servers are very critical in institutions. You can use these effectively to put a lot of contents there. Local area bandwidth is very good. You can have Wi-Fi connectivity, and that is what we have promoted. Most institutions have labs, but these have limited number of PCs. We are trying to do some experiments with affordable Wi-Fi connectivity. 4 schools in Pandharpur are attempting to do that using Akash tablets. We have a long way to go though. At the back end, simultaneously, large clouds are being constructed. National Mission is constructing one in Delhi. I do not know how many of you have heard of Reliance Jio's effort. They are constructing the country's largest cloud here in Mumbai, in Vikhroli. And the ambition that I hear is that it shall be the world's largest cloud. So a lot of computing and a lot of storage, and it will be made available for educational, health services and other things. So apart from running businesses, Reliance Jio has confirmed to us that they would be very keen to work closely with us and offer all these for the educational purpose. You have already seen this Scilab running on Android, you know this. This is an Android tablet with, how do you know, it's an experimental thing. It costs only 95 rupees is the cost of this extension, including the sensor and everything. Inexpensive physical experiments can be set up using low-cost tablets for high schools and for college students, at least in large number of science experiments and so on. So some work is going on. The point is, I mentioned content, I mentioned dissemination, and I mentioned access. And people presume that this solves the educational problem. This unfortunately does not. The most critical part of education is the educational process itself. The teaching learning process conventionally happens in a classroom. When a course is taught by a teacher to a set of students, or when students spend equivalent amount of quality time on their own or a mix, that is when people learn. People don't learn just because content are available, people don't learn because access is available. If that was so, then librarians would have been the most knowledgeable people in the world. They have the access to the best quality content. It doesn't happen that. So the process of education is somehow missed out in all our efforts. So one example that the question that you asked, that I need this, but I don't know where to get this from. Today we have another unfortunate problem, is that there is a plethora of information and a student is confused on what to study and what not to study. That is the reason why universities, schools, colleges have a set syllabus, a set pattern, modules, exams planned on those modules. It is well known that students will concentrate on examinations, and this has been true for thousands of years, and this will always remain true everywhere in the world. There is no point in saying people have become exam-minded. I would like to know when they were not exam-minded. I was exam-minded 45 years ago, and my father tells me he was exam-minded 90 years ago. So this is nonsense. People will be exam-minded, but they do not learn incidentally. They learn while preparing for the exam. They learn through the group discussions, activities and so on. And I personally believe that an important component of any learning is human interaction. On the other hand, I am going to talk about massive open online courses, and I'll tell you what we are doing in that line and trying to merge the requirement of human interaction with the MOOCs. This you just saw. Kannan spoke to you about the T10KT project, where we wanted to scale up to train 10,000 teachers at a time. Our model was synchronous model. So we wanted to address teachers interactively. So we built up, starting with a few remote centers using VSAT, then we converted to internet. Fortunately, a sister university, Amrita University, developed a tool called AView, which we use extensively for the virtual classroom. So what we do now is we have set up more than 300 remote centers. At each of the remote centers, the trainee teachers who assemble, they assemble in numbers of 35 to 40 people. So that is how we get 10,000 people. They are given interactive lectures in the morning sessions from IIT Bombay, which is the hub, and IIT Kharagpur. And in the afternoon, they conduct laboratory sessions, tutorial sessions in the local remote center, under the supervision of a coordinator whom we appoint. Now, how do you ensure that the lab sessions are conducted with the same rigor and same quality as we conduct them in IIT? Because otherwise the purpose would be lost. So what we do is we assemble these 300 coordinators for a 1 week rigorous training physically in IIT Bombay. We get them here for a week and we make them do the same labs, the same tutorials, the same quizzes, which they will have to supervise later. We believe that this has enabled us to ensure good quality percolation to all the 10,000. Over 85,000 teachers have been trained. Our goal is to train 1,50,000 teachers. Please understand, there is not an inexpensive proposal. For each workshop for training 10,000 teachers, the government spends more than 6 crore 25 lakh rupees. Because 6,225 rupees is the cost of training one person for a 2-week rigorous program. And this is less than half of the approved cost when only 35 people assemble at a place. But we are still trying to figure out, can we do it half online and half face-to-face? It will further reduce the cost without changing the effect. These are the remote centers that we have. We want to make about 500 remote centers in the country over the next few months. We will expand, because at a time, only about 250 centers will participate, depending upon the availability of expert faculty to work as a workshop coordinator for that subject. Here is a scene from coordinators workshop. They are interacting here in IIT Bombay. Here is a scene from a local college when the main workshop starts. You will notice that in this photograph, there are a large number of lady teachers. And we have got kudos from many of them consistently over all the workshops. They say that if this workshop was organized in IIT Bombay, we could not have left our children and families for 2 weeks to come there. But because it is organized in our place, we are able to benefit from it. This is a byproduct advantage. We didn't intend it. But you can see, I mean, as Kannan says, we are trying to empower 50% of the population of the country. And I think that's an important statement that we make. I will refer to the National Academy of Engineers of the United States, grand challenges. They put up this list several years ago. I was not familiar with this. I am a member of a delegation of the Indian National Academy, which is visiting US, so I studied this. And we are going to debate how the engineering education in India and US can work jointly on some of these challenges there. I'll not bore you with this. This is a very exhaustive list. Why 14? Why not many more, etc., etc. But one item which is of significance to my discussion topic here is advanced personalized learning. This is considered the 21st century's grand challenge. Okay. In fact, those of you who are interested should read the preliminary article. It's so beautifully written. The way education happens, or the way learning happens, there is an example given of how to teach language to a first grade student. And there are experts, I know of them. Some experts say it should be phoneme based, and some other experts say it should be word based. And the experts on both sides are willing to take a very hard stand on these. But if you ask a teacher of a first grade student, he will say maybe. And he will say students learn differently. Some students learn better with phoneme based, some students learn better with words. Now, if you take general learning even later in life, is it not true? Each one of us has a different way of learning, different approach to learning. Some people learn through a very methodical approach of systematized modules and discussion. Some people learn looking at examples. Some people learn by solving problems. The trouble is, personalized learning, I will talk about it later, is still not attuned to the behavior of the students. It is attuned only to the performance of the students as measured in an exam. So there are 100 students scoring 43 marks out of 100, 43%. You know they are weak. They need to be given personalized training. But people with 60% marks will be given a different set of personalized training. People with 43 marks will be given a different set of personalized training. All 100 students with 43 marks will get the same set of personalized training, which is nonsense, because each of these 100 students study differently. That aspect could not be factored into the educational system so far. Technology will now permit us to do that. That's what I wanted to briefly make. All of you know about the massive open online courses. We started offering MOOCs to global learners. IIT Bombay did an MOU earlier. The Indian national site for online courses is named Swayam. It will be launched very soon. Stands for Study Waves of Active Learning for Young Aspiring Minds. All of you can guess without doubt that we have borrowed the American tradition of first fixing a name and then finding out its expansion. So, but we're lucky that we could find a suitable expansion. Now, this is an Indian open source platform based on OpenEDX. And that is very relevant to this crowd, where the EDX platform is written entirely in Python and Django. It will create to native languages, which is a peculiar challenge to India. No other nation, including China, has that problem. The only other entity which has a challenge of multiple languages is UNESCO. But all other countries have 1, 2, or 3 languages. So that is a very peculiar challenge. Will permit offering of blended MOOCs. My suggestion for engineering education has been, and this is being considered very seriously by the University Grants Commission and others, is that if I am a student registered in Coimbatore doing, let's say, a course in thermodynamics, now so far I was using a reference book. Today my teacher tells me, we will use the MOOC course offered by Professor Gaitonde of IIT Bombay. So you register for that MOOC course. But during the semester, I will engage you like I engage you always. I will not waste my time in giving you lectures, but we will discuss problem solving. We will discuss difficult concepts. The entire semester is used by the teachers only for discussions. We have conducted surveys from these 10,000 teachers who attend our workshop, whether you would be willing to do this and able to do this. It was very funny. We gave some multiple options. First option is, will you be able to take this responsibility? And you will do, students will benefit from the job that you do. Only 63% said yes. Then I said, will you be willing to do this if the teacher who is offering MOOC actually conducts a training workshop for you, training you on how to solve difficult problems that are solved in IIT? 93% people said. So our teachers are also concerned because they also have perhaps not had an opportunity to apply their mind to solve hard problems, to discuss basic concepts and so on. Okay. Please understand that in higher education, is the only component of education where people are appointed just because they have a degree and they are told, you are teachers, start teaching. Now that nonsense someday will stop hopefully, but that is what obtains today. So a national rollout on a large scale is likely to unfold very quickly. We are trying to play some role along with several other sister institutions. There is this SWAYAM site which is built on OpenEDX. We have already configured it to work on English and Hindi, the 2 languages, but eventually there will be a language choice and you would be able to get the basic information about the site and the courses in multiple languages. At the school level, we have encouraged NCERT, we have trained some of their teachers in designing courses using this, and they are designing 9 standard science and maths courses to begin with in Hindi and English, but state boards are going to follow up and translate it into multiple languages. The multiple language problems should be really appreciated. We think Odisha means one language, Oriya. The Odisha State Board has to publish in multiple dialects their textbooks, including 5 tribal dialects, without which they cannot reach out to all the students. They are very, very important and serious problems for us. There are several policy issues. If a student in Coimbatore registers for a course like this, does he or she get credit in his or her own course of study? Because if it doesn't, he or she will drop out. That is what is happening all over the world. We have recommended that this be done. There is a committee appointed which recommended to UGC. Now there is a larger implementation committee, but this problem will be resolved. Simultaneously, they are trying to resolve problems of transferring credits from one institution to another. But this is a larger problem. The university system is so well entrenched, it is extremely difficult to change it. People say it is broke. It is not broke. It is solid. So solid you can't touch it. The entire arrogance of our educational system, including that of IIT system, hinges on the fact that employers and society give some credence to the grades that we give. The day employers find that people are capable of learning on their own and I am capable of judging their knowledge independently, I won't give a damn to the degree. If that happens, I don't know where the university system will. But that may take a long time. That may take a Till then, we have to live with the arrogance and we have to do something within the system. We have an MOU with EDX and we are offering courses globally. But more importantly, Open EDX is being adopted increasingly. The Chinese national launch through what they call Xetang X, which is made by Tsinghua University, which is the Chinese, like we in IIT Bombay are trying to represent India. French Université Numérique Fund, they call it, which is the digital university, so to say, has been constructed on EDX. The Arabian world has created a site called Adra. As of last week, there were 60 independent sites built on OpenEDX. Why I tell you this is that open source platforms or open source software are only as good as is the size of the community supporting it and using it. Otherwise, the open source software may just die. We have a very strong community now, and I would like Indian community to become very actively participant. The first name release Aspen has been let out by OpenEDX, and we are now porting SWAYAM onto that. Consistent multilingual framework is a challenge. The OpenEDX or edx.org still runs on a Drupal site. We are trying to convert everything into Django using the Django internationalization and translation framework, but there are challenges there. It has a course management system, a studio for studying, creating courses, and a learning management system. This is standard in any learning platform. So students can access a course. It offers online assessment with instant feedback, multiple choice, open resource assessor. Open resource assessor is a challenge, and all of you should note that one of the weakest links in MOOCs, Achilles heel, is that primarily it can evaluate people's performance based on multiple choice questions or short answers. And that is not the only way in which you wish to assess the students. Students must be able to learn to articulate themselves in larger and longer answers and so on. One of the reasons why I am advocating blended MOOCs is that while online course will offer these kind of assessments, the local teachers could give longer assessments and their marks could be factored into the national grade that is given to the students. That is one proposal we have made. Most important aspect of these platforms is these platforms track user interaction. This is standard with many web things. Every keystroke is tracked. And that means that I have a plethora of information of interaction of each individual student. And what day, what time the student clicked on a video, what day, what time student saw quiz, question set 1, solved question 1, 2, skipped out, saw some examples, came back, saw some video, etc. All these are tracked through event log. Horrendous amount of information is generated every day as lakhs of students interact with. Now this is the gold mine for interacting. Before going to the personalization of instruction using this event log, let me just tell you that Django, all of you are familiar with Django? Because there was some talk about it. But Django is a high-level Python web framework. So it actually permits, I will forget other things, I'll just mention that object relational mapper which uses JSON. JSON is a short mechanism of exchanging information across different applications. Traditionally, you had these SQL Connect features and you would write SQL queries and connect to the backend database and so on. They were costly in terms of payload. JSONs have become shorter. More importantly, this object relational mapper makes life very easy, and you can actually write Python code to very comfortably interact with backend databases, and which are not ordinary tables that you define small. These are large-scale deployable database. So that is MySQL or Oracle or PostgreSQL or OpenEDX uses MySQL. We use MySQL mostly, and MongoDB for variety of object-oriented. So there are so many things there in Django, and I would strongly request and recommend that those people who are interested in contributing using Python for, let's say, not scientific computing specifically, but for contribution to these kind of this. There is an important scientific computing thing also, which I'll just mention in a moment. So the intelligent tutoring system, as I mentioned, they classify students based on only the examination results, and judgment is based only on exam score. But now I can base the judgment on the basis of the individual behavior of the student. So if two students getting same 40 marks, one student habitually looks at examples first, I will give that student more examples. Another student who first looks at all the quizzes, I'll give him more problems. This kind of personalization is possible, but you need to do now much more extra work to create such modules of extra material to be given to identified set of people. The advanced personal training caters to the way people learn. As I said, the current system only captures symptoms, which are exam scores, but online platforms capture entire sequence of actions, and therefore there is a huge scope for big data analytics for events log. So those of you who are interested in machine learning or any scientific analysis of large data are most welcome to contribute. The formats of the event logs are well recorded, well known. We are trying to further document them properly, and they would be available on our GitHub, and people could access and make contributions there. We need to create systems like active data warehouse, which also handle large amount of data. So as you know, in banking system, if there are frauds, the frauds are analyzed by the data warehouse. But using that analytics, you actually do a backtracking and put some kind of alerts in the operational transaction system. So this is the kind of active data warehouse backend which needs to be created for this event log. Educational animations is an extremely important component of modern education, where this was not feasible in paper kind of representation. There is an important project, Oscar, led by my colleague, Professor Sridhar Iyer. Unfortunately, he got interested into pedagogy of education and stopped that effort. But we use Blender extensively to prepare animation. Now, in this real world, most people are interested in learning animation for entertainment industry. For educational animations, you need combination of teachers and animators to work together. We have tried to create such teams there. Those of you who are interested may note that Blender has a very robust API for Python. And you can actually use Python to do a variety of things. You might want to just see the distillation column animation here. There is a physics gaming engine available with Blender. I say gaming engine, but primarily you can build interactive animations using these. I'll conclude by saying that those who are interested in scientific computing alone can contribute to big data analytics, can contribute to animations, educational animations. Those who are interested in Python programming of any kind, we would love to have your support and contributions to the basic Aspen and OpenEDX releases. Like all open source, our development will also go back into GitHub, and just like we use others' contributions, hopefully our contributions will be used by others. In conclusion, I will also say my lifelong ambition. I believe India is a net taker from the open source even today. Given our population, given our talent, someday India has to become a net giver to the open source. I hope you will spread this word and do that. Thank you so much.